Momentum. We're joined now by Sam Rose. He's the director of UNRWA Affairs in Gaza. UNRWA, of course, has long been the biggest UN aid agency for Palestinian refugees. Sam Rose, thank you very much for joining us here on BBC News.
Thanks, Lise. Thanks for having me on.
First of all, could you give us a sense, Sam, about what the situation is now regarding aid deliveries? Is there enough aid and the right kind of aid going into the Gaza Strip now?
No, there isn't really, and there hasn't been throughout the conflict, throughout the past 2 years, with some small exceptions, the most notable one being the ceasefire that held from the middle of January to really the middle of March. And during that period, thousands upon thousands of trucks of aid were brought in, wide-ranging supplies, food, shelter materials, tents, blankets, medicines, equipment, trucks, all the kind of things that the established aid organizations inside of Gaza need to meet the needs of the people where they are. That came to a kind of shattering halt in early March, and since then it's been incredibly difficult to bring in supplies in meaningful amounts and a meaningful range of items. And of course, this period has also seen the rise or the establishment of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. And the combination of these two factors, the UN-led system being largely blocked and the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation establishing its operations, has coincided with major increases in malnutrition, and finally, a few weeks ago, a declaration of famine in large parts of the Gaza Strip, a direct result of our inability to bring those supplies in at scale.
Do you have any clarity, Sam, on what kind of system would be put into place if indeed a ceasefire is reached? What are you expecting in terms of what the United Nations will be able to do?
Not yet. We have very little clarity on this. We're working to try and get it. As you said, Lise, and as the other correspondents said, the plan that we've got right now is more principles rather than details. It's really lacking in details, and that's what we're trying to figure out over the next few days. What we do have is absolute clarity on what is needed to come in, and we of course have absolute clarity on the supplies that are outside of Gaza. My organization, UNRWA, we have enough food outside to feed the population for 3 months. We have enough blankets to provide for over half of the population. We have installations, health centers, garbage trucks, whatever that is needed to meet the needs of the population. We're clear what we can bring to the table. What we don't have is clarity on what's going to be allowed in, and critically, who is going to be able to move those supplies in. What we're facing right now is a massively constrained implementation capacity on behalf of the UN, mainly UNRWA, but also the international NGOs that are not receiving approvals to bring these supplies in. And it's absolutely critical, if we're to get to the next stage of this, of any agreement that comes into place, that we use all the assets that we have at our disposal. A response that excludes UNRWA, that excludes the large NGOs from delivering and distributing, will be a much weaker, a much less effective response that increases the chances that this whole thing will come to an end. And what we can all agree on is that this does need to come to an end as quickly as possible.
We're hearing again today that there's been gunfire again around some of the distribution sites of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, the American-backed controversial system that you've just been mentioning. The UN and many other aid agencies have described it as a death trap. That kind of system is not getting any better.
No, it's not getting any better. I mean, we need to be able to reach people where they are in safety and in dignity. And that's what we were able to do during the ceasefire. My organization has more than 100 aid distribution points where we can reach people literally within meters of where they are living. Gaza is the smallest, flattest place in the world that anyone working in aid has ever worked and ever will work. We need to be able to use the assets that we have at our disposal to meet the needs of the people wherever they are. We have hundreds of thousands of sick people. These are both children, these are the elderly, these are the tens upon tens of thousands of people who've lost limbs as a result of the war over the past 2 years. We have the architecture and the systems and the trust of the community to meet the needs of the population wherever they are. Time is against us, both because of the famine that's now in place, but also because of the need to cement trust and cement progress and good faith on both sides that this agreement, which is in the offing, will actually lead to a comprehensive and lasting ceasefire and an end to all the fighting.
Indeed, you expressed the hope of so many. Sam Rose, Director for UNRWA Affairs in Gaza, thank you very much for joining us and filling us in a little bit more on what's being expected, that if this all holds, what could happen when it comes to that crucial